I have something controversial to say. And
Do it.
At my core, I do not think men and women are supposed to date each other. I do not think they should date. All the data shows us that like men should be with men.
What data?
The data I've collected. But like, come on, like we are so different. I don't think we're meant to be in a relationship. I think we're meant to be physical, but emotionally, we
Right.
cannot meet each other's needs. And that's literally not me being anti-man, but I really think they belong with other men. I just do. Like, rail me if I'm wrong.
Saturdays are for the boys.
Saturdays are for the like, men love being with each other. They're like, oh, I love my boys, boys night. And they're like, oh, I gotta fuck bitch. And then they're like, post nut clarity. I don't want to be near her when I nut. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just like I think we f***ed up somewhere in the universe,
Yeah.
like the ancient Greeks or something.
always the
Like
Greeks.
it's like we weren't supposed to f*** up the earth. I mean, there's pollution up the wazoo.
Right.
That wasn't supposed to happen, but it is. We weren't supposed to date men, but we are. But I do know that like the love of your life is around the corner. But I'm just saying, it's not what the earth wanted. For you to be with a man.
Now, obviously, like you know, she's being a little cheeky here, but I think she's onto something. By the way, this is let me tell you, this is this is the 6 Feet Above podcast. If you want to look it up, 6 Feet Above. All right. And I know she being cheeky, but I don't think she's that far off. And this is something that I've been thinking about. And I've actually mentioned this on the podcast before when I've talked about romance and how romance is basically fucking fake. And it's a tool that men and the patriarchy made up in order to psychologically brainwash women into willingly offering themselves up as house and sex slaves. Was that too? But it's fucking true. It's true. And we've been bamboozled. We've been bamboozled to think that women have been bamboozled to think that romance is a thing. It ain't a thing. It's a tool. It's a spell that men use to put onto women and make us crazy so that we willingly offer up our free labor and our bodies to people who don't fucking deserve it. People who don't motherfucking deserve it. Okay? Because we think we're in love. And so I played that one clip on a previous episode. Go back and look for it, where this guy was breaking down how romance was created so that broke dudes could compete with rich dudes to get pussy. Pussy. Okay? Go back and look for that clip. But in the last year or so, you know, now, or probably more actually, last couple years, now that I'm decentering men in my life, now that I am able to see through the patriarchal fog, I've taken the patriarchy beer goggles off, I've stopped smoking the patriarchy pipe, I can see through the veil, I can see through the fog. And now that I can see through it, and part of seeing through it is understanding that romance is bullshit, it's not fucking real, that it's just used to control women. I've been asking this question of, when you take romance out of the picture, what's left? When it comes to dating men as a cisgendered woman, what's left? And I still have yet to have an answer. Because when I think about the guys that I've dated and the men that I've been with, especially when I was in my 20s, okay? Especially then, when I think about them, I ask myself, you know, what was it that I was checking for with them? Because I realized that I was in love with the idea of romance with this person and the potential that I saw in this person, but was I actually in love with the person? Or and with the way the person treated me? Or was I just in love with this fantasy that I had invented in my head? And I feel like most women who are in a relationship with men are actually in a relationship with a fucking fantasy. And that's why we have these rude awakenings. When we actually settle down with these men, when we move in with them, when we get past certain benchmarks in our relationship, we have these rude awakenings and we're like, why does my relationship suck? Why does everything suck? And it's like, you realize what sometimes people don't realize, it's because your whole relationship is based on a fucking fantasy that you made in your own head, that men play into so that they can get access to your free labor and your body. And what really like hits this home for me is when I think about how I used to envision being with men that I was either into or that I actually was dating, or someone that, I was like, oh, he's so fine, whatever. Like when especially in my 20s, I think this is a really great emblematic example of how like romance falls short and how it's so fake and flimsy and phony, is whenever I would envision being with somebody, like the fantasy always stopped short. Do you know what I mean? Like it never went past like me envisioning cuddling with some guy that I was into on like a cold winter's night. It never went past envisioning making out with this guy. It never went past envisioning the romantic gestures, the flowers, the dates. It never went past that. And then when I would actually start dating these motherfuckers, I would find myself, seeking something that never was there in the first place. Like, why is this so dry? Why is this relationship so whack? Because it's based on a fantasy in my head that isn't real, that was pumped into my head from rom-coms, Disney movies, all of the romance novels out there. Not that I was out there reading like that, but still, some of us are. This is the patriarchy pumping women's head full of this nonsense of romantic love. And so when I think about this, and I think about like things that this woman said in the clip that I just posted, I'm starting to really question the same thing. Like, are men and women even supposed to be kicking it like that? Because like she said, jokingly, she said the data, and she was joking, of her based on her observations. It's like men don't really want to be around women. We naturally segregate. Men love hanging out with men. And there's nothing wrong with that. They have these like not erotic, but like, there's a word for it. But they love to be with other men. They're man caves, going to the bar to watch the game with the boys. And it's like, what do we really have in common? As she said in what she was saying, what do we really have in common? We don't see the world the same. We approach things very differently. This whole, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, like that says it right in itself. We're not even coming from the same planet. We don't even operate from the same, mental space. That's why men and women are always constantly motherfucking butting heads. And then you think about like other animals in the animal kingdom where, the males just show up to procreate and then they dip and go hang out with the boys. And women stay around other women, peace of mind. We have this fantasy of, this romance of this man sweeping you off your feet. And then, as you get older, it evolves, right? And it evolves into like, okay, well, I also want a partner. You realize that life is motherfucking hard. So you want a partner to go through life with. And then you get with these motherfuckers and they're not even good partners.